And so what we've done is we've taken this program that started on Excel spreadsheets that was pretty vague way back when, and we've added detail over the last 15 years or so. And we do it all the time. We do it every day. We're always in continuous development to try to make, projections more and more accurate, adding more detail so you can provide clients with the information they need to make decisions. What we do is we use some of the newer people at Thomas Gold, and we call them the public, Jeremy. Okay, so they're the ones that don't really know too much about the program. And they'll tell us if it's confusing or not. Okay, that's great. But once they become seasoned, they're not public anymore. That's the kind of stuff that advisors, they take a breath from, I need to sell a product and make my year, to, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to have this client for life. And if it takes 3 or 4 appointments, it takes 3 or 4 appointments, but they're going to be mine. And I'm going to do all their financial work for them.
Systems work. People fail. Welcome to InsureMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Hauser, and we are coming off an extravagant episode. Had people calling in from the recent one of episode 91 with Duncan McPherson, all about process and practice management. And one of the infamous phrases that he's utilized in his practice is a lot around going from vapor to paper. And obviously, as an entrepreneurial advisor, those that listen to this show, you're in for a treat. I have a great guest who actually took some ideas a handful of years ago, and now we have software solutions for advisors all across the country. So needless to say, I'd like to introduce my guest here. I have nothing more than the Steve Goldstein of Thomas Gold Solutions. How are we doing today, Steve?
Great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, looking forward to having a chat with you. I always get confused. Like I start introducing you as Steve, but then I started to go down the rabbit hole of Thomas Gold. So I forget you and Brooke.
Yeah. You'd be amazed at how many people have called me Thomas over the last 15 years.
I was literally about to, even though I know. So sorry. So anyways, back to, I'm pretty excited to have you on today because obviously Simplicity InsureMark, we've been with you guys for a lot of years. A lot of advisors have utilized y'all's systems, but I really, for this show, we dive into systems and processes and wanted to just, have a conversation with you. So for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about who you are, Steve, and a little bit about Retirement Analyzer.
Yeah. And so I started off in the financial industry back in the 80s. I'm old or older. I was a Wall Street trader for about 22 years. And so it's always been about the numbers for me. Back in 2006, I became a financial advisor. I was working along at an FMO, one of a large insurance company FMOs. And one of my jobs there, while I was financial advising, was to actually use the Retirement Analyzer software program and take it out and get some of the high-level agents at the FMO using it. And so I learned it. And I got to tell you, I fell in love with it. I think it's absolutely terrific. It provides clarity. It helps clients understand what they might look like if they're going to be okay in retirement. And it was easy to pick up. So I was the person in charge of RA, Retirement Analyzer, and Brooke, my current partner, was working along with a guy named Chuck Cravens. Now, Chuck had started this program using Excel spreadsheets back in 2005. Okay. And then in 2008, he unexpectedly passed. Okay. Now I was, in charge of the software program at the FMO, and Brooke was working with Chuck, and Chuck had passed away. So what we decided to do in 2010 is kind of bring it all together, and we developed Thomas Gold Solutions. And so what we've done is we've taken this program that started on Excel spreadsheets that was pretty vague way back when, and we've added detail over the last 15 years or so. And we do it all the time. We do it every day. We're always in continuous development to try to make, projections more and more accurate, adding more detail so you can provide clients with the information they need to make decisions.
It's crazy. And you look up 15 years, huh? So 15 years since the infant stage of Thomas Gold, so also known Retirement Analyzer for most advisors using the system itself. So kind of walk us through the evolution here. So from Excel spreadsheet, which a lot of advisors still to this day, they still use Excel spreadsheets. But I think giving more of a customization and a more of a client experience Retirement Analyzer provides. So can you kind of walk us through what's different today than what it was 15 years ago from just going from Excel?
Well, I think back and there were so many things that we used to do that provided a vague result. Okay, so every time we took money out of the software program way back when, it was taxable, whether it was taxable or not taxable. Okay, and so we took the conservative approach, and we started to when you took money out of the program, or you couldn't really model certain things. So what we've done over the last 15 years or so is we took taxes and we built taxes into the program. Now nobody likes to talk about tax. Okay, but I'll tell you, in Retirement Analyzer, we've simplified it to the point where you can actually explain it to clients. Okay, and so the program does tax now. It taxed everything before, so that's a big change. We've highlighted certain areas that really have a profound effect on clients' analyses, clients' financial plan, like something like the monthly expense plan. Now, and people today, they still do it. They'll say, "Hey, look, the client wants to spend 10,000 a month." Okay. And that's great. You can pop that in there. But if you were to take the 10,000 and you were to itemize it, in other words, just look at the component parts and, what pieces make up the 10, you could change the client's analysis by over $1 million or so just by doing that and spending the time. So what we're really doing here is we're taking a program that was vague, and then now slowly we're training on it. We're helping you provide a more accurate result, real life scenarios, what's really going on in life, what's going to happen, versus just saying, "Hey, look, I spend 10 grand a month and I'll do that forever." So there's all kinds of detail now, and you can actually sharpen, the projection. You could show all kinds of different things. And over the years, when somebody has asked us, "Well, can you add this functionality? And can you add that functionality?" And Jeremy, I got to tell you, I'm proud of this. We take the feedback from our 5 or 6 thousand agents. And basically I look at it this way. It's almost like a big quilt. Okay. So it's bits and pieces of the feedback of all of our users. And that's Retirement Analyzer. So, I need this or I need that. And we've built processes in. And I got to tell you, it's come together real well. So I'm proud of these guys. They're very detailed advisors. Our Retirement Analyzer group of advisors, our community, we call them.
Mm-hmm.
They do real well out there, and they're doing the right thing for the client.
Ibexus is excited to introduce the dynamic FIA allocation tool built to help contracted advisors deliver stronger results with greater confidence. With this powerful, easy to use tool, you can tailor allocation strategies by product and index, choose between diversified or custom approaches, and even compare your plan to an S&P 500 only strategy. Pretty cool. Whether your goal is to boost growth or reduce the risk of zero return years, this tool puts smarter solutions at your fingertips. Log in to the Ibexus agent portal and click on resources and start exploring today to get your hands on this unique tool that's live today. And that's incredible. 5,000, 6,000 people now using the system itself. So how do you determine when a great idea comes about? I mean, you talked a little bit about your internal process. So how do you know what's good enough to make it to where, like, okay, I'm going to now devote the resources to actually now implement that process, or let's go in and try to reconfigure the numbers? How does that not throw off all the other members once that tool and that system's updated? So can you walk us through a little bit of that process?
Yeah, and you know what we do? We have a team, a creative team that we'll go through and we'll discuss each change. The funny thing is, though, a long time ago when we were making changes, okay, they could have a major effect on what's going on in the software. But over time, right, we have all the key processes in there now. So a lot of the changes today are just minor tweaks. I feel very comfortable that we have the numbers we need to provide to clients to help them make decisions. We do. So if you want, another chart or another way of looking at something or another ratio or something like that, that's easy now. So we have this thing, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's we call it our red line alleviation.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to keep it real simple here. If a client has a red line, that means they run out of money to support their standard of living before the analysis ends. Okay. And so what advisors do is they spend their time making suggestions on how to alleviate the red line and have enough money left at whatever age you want to end the analysis. Okay. We will never, ever take that process away. But
Hmm.
what we could do is give you some more bells and whistles and different ways of doing things and ways to make you more efficient so you can actually get things done. I want to talk a little bit maybe after or down the road here a little bit about our CRM where we can actually data mine your financial plan and give you ideas on how to become more effective with the client. So there's all kinds of good things here, but we've never strayed from the red line, and we want to alleviate the red line so they have enough money to live in retirement the way they want to.
Been doing it for 14 years, ever since getting to know your team, and it seems like Simplicity Insure Marks probably used it the whole time I've been at our company for advisors to utilize Retirement Analyzer. I always do remember that red line, and it's almost to where your system and your software is great, especially for advisors that want to know how the watch works, but also for those that are keeping it simple at point of sale. I remember one of the top advisors that came aboard our company about 10 years ago or so. I mean, they were using your software and they brought it to our attention of all the tools that are there. Their sales process was literally that one pager, just showing the red line. And it's almost to where you know how to just tell the time for the right advisor itself. So if people are actually using your system, or maybe they've gone away for a couple of years. You talked a little bit about taxes. So what's new today, or what are y'all seeing more of successful advisors using your system more and more of outside of just taxes?
Well, again, we have the taxes, like you said, but they're actually filling out the monthly expense plan. They are sharing a client portal. So now what you can do is really get the client involved. Okay, so you can actually run the plan, and then you can take the plan and you can put it into a portal for your client. Now they can go in and look at the plan anytime they want. We're building functionality in currently, or they're going to be able to update all their accounts clicking a sync button. So even without the advisor, they can go into their portal and they can say, "Hey, look, what did my accounts do yesterday?" The clients can actually see their plan. They feel more comfortable with it. We have a thing called a docu tracker in there. It's almost like a vault where they can upload documents into certain folders and share them with their advisor. So there's no need to email these important documents back and forth. You can just actually drag them in and upload them so the advisor can see them. It's more of a connection, advisor to client, and it happened. I don't know, about 2 or 3 years ago, where we created this client portal, and clients love it. They have everything that they need. There's a net worth statement in there. There's a benefit. We call it, it's a benefit tracker. We call it in Retirement Analyzer, but they can see their beneficiary statement
Hmm.
and they could see where they are. And I think the whole deal here is to try to keep things simple. Now, again, you were mentioning this a little bit here. You can run a simple plan. You make it as simple as you want. You can make it as comprehensive as you want. It's up to you. Now, we all have those engineer type clients, and it can handle that. But you take it as far as you want to go. There's all kinds of buttons to click. You just have to know which ones to click because you can show detail on just about anything in RA.
Welcome to the revolution, where fixed annuities move at the speed of opportunity. At Revel One Financial, they are redefining retirement planning with innovation, speed, and best in class service. Right now, check out the Direct Growth MIGA, available in a 3, 5, 7, and 10-year chassis. The 5-year Direct Growth MIGA is available with a 5.85% fixed rate, one of the most competitive rates in the marketplace today. With stability and consistent growth, your clients will benefit from a product that delivers unmatched value. Ready to grow your business with nimble, forward-thinking provider? Well, visit revel1financial.com or call the team today to get contracted. Revel One Financial, built for those who don't wait. And that's one thing that I always go back to with y'all's process, especially if I have an advisor who comes on board, and we actually pay for a lot of our advisors to have access to the tool. So for those that are serious about their practice and they're wanting to utilize it, your support team is incredible. So, I mean, talk a little bit about all the resources you have to help the advisor. Besides, I mean, Cheryl's one that I just literally point to immediately when an advisor comes on board just to make the introduction. But talk a little bit about maybe y'all's weekly calls, all the things that you do to help advisors and their staff with support?
Sure. And, from the beginning, we knew that one of our, it's really just our differentiator. I mean, I know, we have a great software program. Don't get me wrong. Anybody could have a great software program, but if you support it, okay, if you train on it, we knew that would be big.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? We actually make ourselves available. We're live at least 1 hour every business day. And we have this thing called a power hour. And power hour really is we just open up a webinar and I call it agendaless. Okay. Because so we just open it up and we wait for you to come in. Now, I don't know who does that in the industry, but we're waiting for you bringing your questions. If you get there first, it's all about you. And we'll go through. You can share a file if you want. You change the names to protect your clients or whatever. And we can just go through. Now, we let, newbies basically in there. And you could have maybe 10 or 12 people in there. And what happens is when people start their trials, they come into Power Hour, they listen to what's going on. And then once they become, permanent users, they're there for about maybe a month or two. And then they actually move on. We have another platform called Success in 60. And that's on Fridays. So Monday through Thursday at 10 Central, we are there waiting for you. Power Hour. Okay, Friday, Success in 60, more of a high level talk, more experienced RA users, but you can be there as a newbie and we'll talk about, what we have coming up, what we're going to push out soon. People can make suggestions. Trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years. I have an Excel spreadsheet, probably 3 miles long, of suggestions for RA. So, and we have plans. We have plans over the next 10 years to just build this bigger and bigger. Again, we won't take away that red line, but we will enhance this thing to a point where, it almost run the plan for you.
No, I love it. And I mean, you talked a little bit about, the ideas. I can only imagine where you get a bunch of visionaries who love the software tool and they're like, I want to make this tweak. Can we do this, this, and that? So were there any hurdles basically that you guys have seen over the years while growing Retirement Analyzer, certain things that you had to overcome? Or if you take yourself back to when times were maybe you didn't have 5,000 advisors, so maybe some hurdles that came about and how y'all overcame those, any stick out to you?
Yeah, anytime you're ready to, you're starting to build a program, I mean, it's kind of all over the place until you bring it all together. I mean, we had the e-monies and the Money Guide Pros out there, and they're great programs, and we were the new kid on the block, kind of, and then we had to sort of get in there and we had to do things a little bit differently. You got to study the tax code. I mean, you got to know what's going on and you got to just sit down and look at things and decide, what you want to put into the program, what you don't want to put into the program, what's teachable, what the users are going to get, what they won't get. It can't be confusing at all. And so what we did over the last 10 or 15 years, we have this team. And it's kind of funny because what we do is we use some of the newer people at Thomas Gold and we call them the public, Jeremy. Okay. So they're the ones that don't really know too much about the program. And they'll tell us if it's confusing or not. Okay, that's great. But once they become seasoned, they're not public anymore because they know everything. It's amazing how our support team is so smart. They probably could be financial advisors themselves now going through this each and every day. But it's basically that really though. You have to build, you got to take your time, you got to make sure it's not confusing, and you got to just, you have to develop the program and it could take years. And so that's what we've done. And we don't add a lot quick. I mean, we discuss everything. Like we have something now we've been talking about for a while to go multi-generational in the planning software. So what does that mean? That means that, you have let's say you're planning for 2 clients and they both pass. Where's the money go? So now we're starting to put the pieces in place to go to the next generation, because I think the statistics say that a lot of advisors lose the funds after your clients pass. Okay, so if you have the plan built down through the next generation, maybe you won't. And that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at now.
That's incredible. And actually, that's kudos to you guys. That seems so simple, but so smart that people would probably not think of, is to keeping it simple with your system is to basically form a case study group with people that are new to your organization. That's pretty good. Well, that's why you've longevity and been doing it for 15 years. And I think we just recently had some new rules and new regulations, and it looks like the known big beautiful bill that was recently passed. So how did y'all's team keep up with that information on the regulatory stance? And then what are the processes to help advisors navigate through any changes and keeping in front of compliance and so forth?
Yeah, and we've been right in on this big beautiful bill, and we know what's going on. And again, just like I said, the whole tax structure is built in there, and it really isn't much. It's not like Social Security taxation on Social Security benefits is just going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
There's an increased deduction that each client's going to get, and so for us to do that now with the structure that we have, Jeremy, it's very easy for us to do that. So we can make the change, and what we do is, and this is kind of interesting too, we highly encourage users to actually keep their scenarios. Let's say you did a scenario in 2017 with a client. Okay, you keep that 2017 scenario, and they'll have the old tax brackets. If you remember the 10, the 15, the 25. If you run a projection date, all right, in 2018, they'll have the new taxes. Okay, and if you run a projection date in 19 and 20, and so you keep all of this because you never know when you're going to do. You have to refer to it. So when they start moving and putting a projection date or labeling a projection date or choosing one for 2026, they'll have everything that's new tax wise for that year. But they'll also keep what's going on in 2025 and what the levels were then. Okay, so I think it's very important. And we had to teach that. You know, I want to hear a funny story. Advisors, what they were doing was they were keeping one scenario, Jeremy. Can you imagine one scenario from 2017? And we're sitting in 2025 now. And all they were doing was just changing it. And they had no way to go back to see what they said in 2017. It's not like that anymore. So there's a lot of training. Again, I'm pretty proud of our user base. They are some of the questions, Brooke and I look at them and we say, my God, they didn't even think to ask these questions 15 years ago. And now look how detailed they really are. And it comes out that, I mean, it's helping a client more. And then that's really the intrinsically rewarding feeling you take home every night, that you're helping people. And that's really what keeps us going.
Yeah. And to the client side of it too. So you already referenced some of the things that you all are doing to help your customers, especially advisors, not only learn the system, but now have integration where they can communicate with customers. Customers can upload documents, which is incredible, especially where the world, and it seems like more data, the better it is for clients. So what else right now is something that your firm does to help advisors better engage with clients and also make it more of a more fitting client experience for customers that are using advisors that use Retirement Analyzer?
Yeah, and it really is. I could use one word for that. It's just simplify. I mean, the attention span of people worldwide. I mean, I like to say everybody has the attention span of a gnat. Okay. And really that's what it is, right? So you can't write a paragraph anymore because people don't like to read through the whole paragraph, right? You got to keep it one line or whatever. So what do? We're actually simplifying it to a point where we'll show certain views of the software and it won't be too complicated looking. And we've spent a lot of time to actually make sure the software is not intimidating looking and then hide any detail for the engineer types under buttons. And so the user interface is very, very simple. It takes maybe 2 to 3 times through the software when you initially start to get acclimated and feel comfortable. But just like it is for the user, it's simple for the client to see where they are. And let's face it, clients, they don't want to learn financial planning. They don't. Will they give you their numbers? Hopefully, yes. But once you have them, all they want to do is know that they're going to be okay. And they trust you. They want you to be their financial quarterback using like a retirement analyzer type program, but they want answers from you, and they want to make sure they're okay. And I can't blame them because they want to live life. They're not financial professionals. They're not, and they want to know if they're okay. And you can actually give them those answers using the software program.
Who wouldn't want prosperity in their life? Doesn't that sound nice? Prosperity Life Group is a new name to the IMO space, and member companies have over a century of tradition dating back to 1914. Today, PLG is an insurance, reinsurance, and asset management company with over $25 billion in assets under management and is issuing over $2 billion of annuity business in 2024. Member companies include SUSA, Shenandoah Life, SBLI USA, and National Western Life. A- ratings with AM Best and S&P. Prosperity Asset Management is an in-house investment management team based in New York City, specializing in high-quality credit and niche asset strategies. Be on the lookout for a unique and new innovative fixed index offering this summer. For more information on Prosperity Life Group, go to www.prosperitylife.com.
Yeah. And I mean, and also what sticks out to me is I had a conversation with one of the advisors that maybe it was 3 months ago, or I'm not sure when the last one was, but you all started to do, and I'm pretty sure y'all have done it for a while now, but some more and more of my advisors are going to those live training events too. So not just online and on demand, and advisors can call in. You all do actual trainings physically across the country, right? Or what have y'all set up to help advisors that want to take even a deeper dive, maybe with the advisor and their staff that want to go deep into the software?
Yeah, and there's a lot of training. We have these things called virtual training classes. Okay, now they happen every quarter, and I like to call them continuing education. So why do I say that? Because the software is changing. Okay, and again, the red line's not changing, just like I said before, but there are bells and whistles that are added. Okay, the software changes somewhat every 3 months. So what we do is we have one time charge for that, and then you come back for free after that. And the whole idea behind it is really just so you can keep up with what we have.
Mm.
We're going to make your business easier and easier to do for you. We'll simplify things. We'll give you better views. You got visual clients. Maybe you want to print this out. There's a lot of moving parts in a financial plan, but we think that we've simplified it to a point where it's explainable now, and it's actually interesting. So the virtual training happens quarterly, and we have alumni. We probably had thousands of people come through this already, they're better for it. Now, if you're an in-person learning type, you like that kind of platform, we have boot camps. Okay, so we do one in Scottsdale in April, and our next one is in Nashville, and it's October 7th through 9th. And I like to use this term, and I know it's not a word, but it's for lack of a better term, it's boot campy. I mean, we are there to work, and we are going to work, and we'll go through working breakfast, working lunches. The first day is about our CRM. It's called C3. So what we've done is we have a planning software retirement analyzer, and then we have the CRM that's highly integrated with it. So if you can imagine, if you can report on your financial plans. In other words, let's say that I have 1,000 clients that have financial plans, and I want to rank them. Who pays the most lifetime taxation from today to the end of their analysis? Now, C3, the CRM, can actually run that report for you within seconds. So you can go searching for people that have problems rather than go through a plan one by one. Okay, so that C3 is what we do the first day. And we'll do about 6 hours on day one, and it's strictly C3 and how it's integrated with Retirement Analyzer. All right, the next 2 days, RA A to Z, Retirement Analyzer A to Z. We start on tab 1. There's 10 tabs, answer all kinds of questions. We have 80 people. We try to put no more than 80 people in a room. And again, we're there for those 2 days. If you're there for the first day, that's great. And we go through everything. We have a panel. Highly experienced RA advisors. They come up and they share their best practices, what they do, how they succeeded with it. We'll go through case studies. We even have a final exam at the end that we go through. We have some fun with it, and we make sure everybody can pass to get through the class. But it's a fun time. I mean, we know that people are having fun learning. They remember a heck of a lot more, and it's a good time. It really is. So we've had people just come back to every boot camp. So, I mean, they're getting a lot out of it,
Yeah. And so Nashville, is that usually the flow? Or I just didn't know that y'all go out to Nashville. So it's Arizona in April, and then October, Nashville. So that's every year.
Yep. That's it.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, very cool. And that's good to know. And I think a lot of advisors, especially the one I mentioned earlier, who mentioned they went out to the one in April. And I think that was a really eye-opening thing, to where seeing the software as opposed to having the tool for a year and a half and not really doing anything with it, to going to the in-person event And then all of a sudden the light bulb goes off because you're like, wait a second, I use this tool for this. I use this tool for this. I use that for this one. But yet your system does all three. And so it's almost to where the in-person event really helps out bringing it all together. And I think the panel helped dissect that for them.
Yeah. And let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. Can we take a couple minutes on that one?
Yeah.
All right. So you can look at things. There's so many moving parts in a financial plan that people don't realize, like there's a retirement date. Okay. There's Social Security benefit start date. There's Social Security COLAs. There's pension start date. There's all kinds of, rate of return, right? You can look at that, right? You can look at RMDs, spending. How does it change in the future? And for you to be able to get your arms around all of this, okay, you need a program that's going to really address all of this. So, you have these Social Security programs out there and they ask you for maybe 4 or 5 inputs. And then they tell you when the best time to start your benefit is. But is that enough? I mean, what if I could tell you that I could give you the best time to start benefits looking at every moving part in the plan? And see, that's what we do. What we do now is we put everything into the plan and then we look at Social Security benefit start dates. So there's everything in there. There's even, inflation for job income in there. And there's all kinds of things. So I think what RA does, and I'm really happy with it, is it actually gives the advisor a fighting chance to sort of wrap his or her arms around it so they can explain it to a client. It is a lot of moving parts, though. And when they finally get it, I got to tell you, Jeremy, I'm not a real big sales guy. I mean, even though I've been working in sales for a while, I am I like to be in education. I like to teach people. And this software program will help you answer any client what if questions within a couple of keystrokes. And you feel like you're the educator. And that's what clients need today. They're not going to wait till next Tuesday or Thursday or next meeting to get an answer on something. What does it look like if I retire 3 years later? And you can take the program and do it right in front of them when you start to feel comfortable with it. It's easy. And so that's what we offer with RA. And it's real conversational. And I got to tell you, when I first started in the business, people didn't want to take questions from clients. They didn't want to take them. Oh, just a couple questions and I'm going to leave. What we do is we take them all and we encourage questions, bring them on, because what we feel is when the client runs out of questions, they're your client. Okay. Cause you answered them all. And that's what we really try to do with RA. So it's a good tool. We really haven't come across anything lately that we have to build into it, except just tweaking things and adding some new enhancements. That's about it. But from the tax standpoint and everything else, I think that we're pretty good with our calculations. It's taken a while, but we have them.
Here is financial planning software to make you shine. Retirement Analyzer software by Thomas Gold Solutions helps advisors nationwide create easy to understand financial plans for their clients. Today's successful advisor understands that clients are in need of advice, recommendations, and projections of possible outcomes that are provided in a financial plan. Thousands of advisors using Retirement Analyzer know that they are a formidable force in today's industry. They know that clients buy certain outcomes, which include sales of financial products. So in essence, products are not the focal point, but just part of the plan, helping them get to their desired outcome. Retirement Analyzer gives you the ability to answer any and all client questions while building plans to address certain concerns. Acclimation is a breeze, and their over-the-top user training and support platform is unparalleled in the industry today. So start today and request your 14-day trial to find out what it's like to be a part of Retirement Analyzer community of advisors. Go to retirementanalyzer.com and get started today.
I'd say on the education part of it and also for the in-person events, can you kind of walk through what have been, I guess, from April, since that's the most recent one, what were some of the aha moments where there was a lot of buzz in the room of like, yeah, we really need to focus more on this particular topic to move forward? Because you never know what's coming down with regulations or different things. So what was maybe an aha moment from the April event that you think in October you're going to share a little bit more on?
The aha moments come from building the plan out. So a lot of people, what they want to do is, and initially, right. And you know, the red line, we talked about this a little bit, but initially when you sit with a client, if their plan isn't detailed enough, they could have a red line initially. And so this is really what clients leave the training knowing. You have to alleviate the red line, and it's not product. Okay, we have to sort of say, step back.
Correct.
It's not product. Don't worry. Your product's going to go along for the ride. It's not product now, though. What you have to do is you have to put your financial advisory hat on, and you got to say, look, let's see what it looks like. Maybe working 2 years longer, or let's itemize this expense plan, or let's see, let's look at a home downsize. Let's look at like maybe contributing more because you have a little what we call fluff in your working years. You have a $2,000 positive cash flow. Let's put it into some of these retirement accounts. And so what advisors, they come into the boot camp thinking they're going to sell a product right away. And then they know that the second step, their recommendations as financial advisors that we call them productless, is going to set the product up to look even better. But clients need to know how to behave. I know that sounds weird, but they don't know what to spend. They don't know how much to spend. They don't know which account to take it from. Okay, so you can answer all that and kind of set up a plan for them. And that's really what the plan's all about. And we all know that if you move the withdrawal order around in certain accounts, the plan can look better, right? You're not going to withdraw from a 5% account faster than you would a 3% account or a 4% account. So we can mess with the withdrawal order and move it around a little bit. I didn't mean mess in a negative way, but you can alter it or whatever, and you can show how to optimize it. So that's the kind of stuff that advisors, they take a breath from, I need to sell a product and make my year, to, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to have this client for life. And if it takes 3 or 4 appointments, it takes 3 or 4 appointments, but they're going to be mine. And I'm going to do all their financial work for them. And that's the difference. We called it transactionality, Jeremy, a long time ago. And that's like having 3,000 clients that you've seen one time. Okay, that's no good, right? So now what we have here is we got out of the transactional selling, and the products just go along. And here's the best thing about it. You're showing outcomes in Retirement Analyzer, right? So we'll show maybe 1, 2, or 3 outcomes next to each other on one page. And they can pick the outcome that they want. And attached to that outcome is a product. Okay, so they might say, well, look, I love this outcome, and they buy outcomes. Okay, so I like this outcome. How do I get there? Well, we're going to use an annuity, and we're going to use some managed money, and we're going to project these rates of return, and that's how we're going to get there. Okay, that's where I want to go. And that's really how it happens,
Yeah, and it really is product agnostic. They're buying the solutions for sure. And one of the questions I was wondering on the CRM. So if I have a lot of advisors that maybe use it doesn't matter which one, Wealthbox, Redtail, you name it. So how does this complement it? Does it sync into any of those, or how does that work?
We don't sync into it. What we will do, though, is we'll bridge the information over from them into C3 and into Retirement Analyzer that way. Okay, so we have bridging back and forth or syncing back and forth. So you can actually build your analysis in RA, and you can sync it to C3, or you can build it in C3 and sync it to RA. So we can take information. Let's say you were in a Money Guide Pro or an eMoney or something like that, and for some reason you wanted to switch over to our platform. If we can get all the data onto an Excel spreadsheet, like export it or whatever, then we can actually bring it into RA without you having to type in each client one by one. That kind of deal.
That's good. Okay, and I know some of the listeners probably for sure were thinking to themselves, how would that work? So thanks for clearing that. That's actually. That should work pretty smooth. If I'm Steve and I'm looking forward for Retirement Analyzer over the next, let's say 5 years or so, what are some of the biggest opportunities you think within your system at Retirement Analyzer? So what are some of the best opportunities, but also what are some of the challenges you think you'll see within the industry itself of the tool that you're using?
There's an amazing opportunity. There's so many people out there. Guys, I got to tell you, the bar is low. Okay, because we listen to clients all the time, and we have testimonials. I don't know how many we get a week or whatever on clients that said that I've never seen an analysis like this from anybody, and it's still happening now. So the bar's kind of low. So my feeling is this: if you get in there and you get into Retirement Analyzer and you get acclimated, and you'll get acclimated quickly, and you start to do things the same way over and over and over again, you can't help but become expert at it. You can't. You'll become expert at it, and you will be their financial guru. You'll be able to answer any question they could possibly have. Now, the landscape could change, but the one, that maybe that's a challenge. The landscape could change, but we're right on it though. Again, as I said, like taxes change every year. We inflate the bracket ranges and all kinds of things. They are available the first day of the next year. So any types of change, like the big beautiful bill, we'll add functionality, into the Social Security, the deduction section now because of that. And it doesn't take us long to do that because we have an engine now that we can build onto. And that's really where we are now. But I mean, it's going to make you, if you're into having a good time with your clients, providing information, a lot of times your recommendations will help them to a better financial future. It's going to be a happy time. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, been doing it for 15 years. I have not met a red line that I couldn't alleviate, Jeremy. All right. Now, there was one guy who had 65,000 in a 401k. He was 63. He wanted to spend $5,000 a month and retire in 2 years. Obviously, that's not going to work. But we had him we showed him what it could look like living on a Social Security benefit and cutting his spending. And you know what? We alleviated that red line. People they have to know. It's better to know than not to know. And you'll be able to be that person where you can take somebody through a process that's repeatable. You guys, you can scale this too. I mean, if you want people in your organization, let's say you have 10, 15, 20 advisors. We have some companies with 50 advisors. They all do things the same way and they use RA. We even have solutions now, Jeremy. I don't know if you know it or not. It's called a workstation. Let's just say you have a big group. Let's say there's 50 advisors. You could have one sign-on, right? To basically supervise those 50 advisors. You can see what they're doing just by, signing into what is called an RA workstation. And that's helpful too. So there's all kinds of things here. We have prospecting tools. We have branding for a proprietary look and feel. So you can change it from Retirement Analyzer to something else and you can change it, add your company colors, things like that. It's kind of cool looking.
Yeah. I have some advisors that really like the 9 to know. Very simple system. I'm sure y'all just continue to evolve and bring on some new great systems that advisors can implement for not only solutions, but also there's marketing behind it too. And where for the person who maybe for some reason hasn't heard of Retirement Analyzer or they would like to know more information, where do they go and how does that work?
Yeah, it's really kind of simple. So it's retirementanalyzer.com. Okay. And you can click free trial. There's a free trial button in yellow or text in yellow at the top there. But here's the best thing about it. Once you request a trial and you're using your trial, you get to come into these training classes as a trial. So before you make your decision, request a trial, jump into the training classes, ask some questions, and get a feel for it. I think you'll like it. I do. We even have a chat function in the software called Thomas Gold Talk. Now you can ask questions. Now, a lot of times we answer them, but other people can answer them. It's almost like not a Facebook in there, but it's like a chat area where you can ask questions that everybody sees. And so it's nice because everybody learns together. But there's a lot of people in our our Retirement Analyzer advisor community that are more than willing to help. I think the attitude overall is like, look, there's all kinds of people out there and there's plenty of opportunity. And if you have a question, we'll get your question answered. So it's really been kind of neat to see it grow and to be able to help as many people as we can. Because I think the one thing Brooke and I had, we were doing our personal production together for a while there toward the end, and we were touching obviously some people, but we decided to do this and we wanted to touch more people. And I think we've actually got to that point where now we're touching a heck of a lot with 5,000 or 6,000 advisors. And we have about 1.5 million client files in the software. So we're pretty happy about that.
No, that's incredible. And then, and as we're wrapping up here, is there anything we left off or any words of wisdom from Steve?
I'll say this, okay? What happens when somebody, when you download a piece of software? What happens, okay? And I use this in one of my trainings, okay? You click it, you go through the whole process, and I want you to just tell me if you do this. I know you can't answer me now, but you download the whole program, and then you have an icon on your desktop. Click the icon, and where do you go?
Yeah.
We have help videos in the software. Okay. You can call us. We actually plaster our phone number all throughout the software. We want you to call in. One thing we don't want you to do, okay, is to not get the most from the program. Now, a lot of other programs, when you click that icon, you really don't know what to do you?
Correct.
We have videos. We have Power Hour, like I was telling you. Come on in. We actually want you there. Our whole goal, and when we have very, very reasonably priced software and solutions, and our model is to actually sell them a lot of times and have a lot of happy customers. And that's what we try to do. Okay. One thing I can tell you is we will be with you every step of the way.
I actually couldn't agree more. Out of all the systems that we work with, I could definitely say y'all's customer service, advisor service is by far A plus. So kudos to you and Brooke for running an amazing company. But thank you very much also for your time, Steve. Looking forward to hopefully getting some advisors to attend out in October. And also thank you to the listeners for tuning in to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite listening device so you do not miss out on any future episodes. Connect with us on LinkedIn at Jeremy Hauser, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Jeremy Hauser AMP. And remember, as you share this episode with a friend and a colleague in a world full of betas, be an alpha.